What's up, y'all? It's your boy Vincent, Ellis White, Vinny Blanco. I am live here in Suffolk on the Strong Mentality Podcast with my man Travis. Yo, we had a great pod today. Y'all be on the lookout because it's coming soon, baby. Let's go.
Better believe it. Today, Vincent, thanks for being here, bro.
Thank
I
you,
appreciate
Travis.
you, man.
Appreciate you. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely, man. I can't thank you enough for taking time to come on the podcast and let us rap a little bit, man. Like I say, most of our content is solely around men's mental health.
Mm-hmm.
And with that being said, we need some training exercises sometimes. We need something we can look at so we can learn to get to that positive mental health state. You know what I mean? If we're not there already, you know what I'm saying? So anyway, man, I want to thank you again, bro.
No, anytime.
So Vincent, what do you go by, man? You want to go by Vincent or any alias? What do you go by?
So I'm called many names, man. So my name is Vincent. You can say Vincent. You can say Vince. In Richmond, I'm from Richmond, y'all. So in Richmond, they call me Vinny Blanco.
Okay.
So we can use any one of those, and
Gotcha.
it'll resonate. Anyone.
I like that, man.
And by the way, you can ask me anything. It ain't no off limits. Y'all, I ain't slipping him nothing ahead of time. Say don't talk about this. It don't matter. Ask whatever.
I like that, man.
Yeah.
Open conversation,
Open
man.
conversation.
And that's what we need, bro. As men, we need open conversation, bro.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? And that speaks volume of you, of who you are and how comfortable you are with your situation, you know, to have open conversation. Because most men, you got to feed it to them slow. They ain't taking no big bites. They ain't taking no big bites of anything.
For sure.
And when you ask men something, and I'm not sure about other cultures, but I know in the black community and our culture, we bite off small pieces as black men. And when you're asking us, you're only gonna ask us small questions at a time. You ain't asking us no big questions. So, but and I think that's part of our mental health as well. You know what I'm saying? That we get to the point where you are, bro. Where you are, that we just talk about anything, man. Whatever fall on the table, let's get it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Sure enough, man. Well, anyway, Vince, tell me a little bit about you, man. Where'd you grow up, man? Married, not married, kids, you know, give us a little bit about you.
Gotcha. All right. So my name is Vincent White, born and raised in Richmond, Virginia. Born and raised in Southside Richmond. But I've also lived in many areas in the city, Richmond City, Henrico, Chesterfield. I've bounced all over, but my family is rooted in Southside. And so I'm born and raised there. Went to Norfolk State University after that.
I see the NSU.
You already know.
Spartans in the house.
Yeah, for sure. Had to do that. Went to Norfolk State. As far as my upbringing, and I'm gonna try to condense this because that'll run your whole podcast right there. So, grew up in a single parent home, which is my mother. The person I thought was my father was in and out of jail, so he was a repeat offender or habitual offender. So my mom, as a young kid, was taking me back and forth to jail to visit him, maybe 2-3 times a week.
Okay.
And that was happening from like a toddler age on through like maybe my teens. And I'm really fast forwarding, but to my teens, so at the age of 16, my mom sat me down on a random Monday and was like, "Your father that you know as your father, is not your biological father."
Wow.
And so to pause there, for 16 years, like, even though he was in and out of jail, I had mixed feelings about him because when he was home, he was dad. He's the only dad I knew. I ain't know no other dad. It wasn't like I could be like, "Oh, it was probably this other guy." It was only him that I knew. He was like a present dad when he was there, but it was very limited. He was more inside the prison than home.
Than being home with
But
y'all.
he still was my dad, and so I was at times embarrassed by him, angry at him, and also and always loved him and had love for him. So when she told me that at age 16, it shattered my world. Like I started like stealing. My grades used to be in a better space. My grades went down. So wilding out, just getting all kind of trouble. And back then, because I show my age, like that was in like the 90s. You know what I'm saying? So mental health wasn't in the forefront like it is now.
Yeah,
And
definitely
so,
not. It was like taboo.
yeah, you didn't even mention
Yeah,
mental health.
talk
And
about no
so
mental
when
health.
things was happening in school, you just get a consequence for it. They don't say like, for example, like the day after I got that story, somebody stepped on my shoe and I got into a fight and I got kicked, I got suspended. Nobody now a teacher would ask you, what's going on at home? What happened?
Yeah,
I didn't get asked that question. Had they asked me, they would have saw that something catastrophic happened at
a
home.
lot going on.
Yeah, so just an example like that. So that's how I grew up. Found out that was a body blow to me at the age of 16. My life went in a different direction at 16. And just to fast forward the story, we can dissect it later if you want. But I didn't find my biological father at the age of 27. So I'm a fatherhood advocate in my city and even around the world, but definitely in my city. And so there's a thing called a father wound. And so I didn't know what it was then, obviously, but now that I do fatherhood work, that father wound, the absenteeism of your father, um, creates a wound in men, also in women too, but definitely more men have that than women. And
Yeah.
so um, these actions, this anger, this built up anger, this behavior I was displaying,
Hmm.
and all kind of other things I can tell you about myself came from that father wound. There's a mother
For
wound too,
sure.
but we're gonna talk about my father wound. So I realized I had that later on. So anyway, yeah, and that's went through life and I knew how to wear a mask properly. Like on paper, I always was the man. Like
Yes.
always had girlfriends. I was best dressed in high school. Um, played sports, all of that. Like it on paper, I looked like I was
Yeah.
that guy,
Mask
perfect.
it.
Yep.
Mask it, bro.
And on the inside, I was before finding out my dad was not my dad. I was confused. I was angry. I was embarrassed by him. My friends were saying, "Aha, your dad in jail." I went from being teased about my dad being in jail to, "Aha, that's not your dad. Where
Yeah.
is your dad?" And I'm also like, "Where's my dad?" You know what I'm saying? So again, we can go into more of that story later, but that's kind of just to let you know, like that helped shape me, my upbringing. Fortunately, though, I didn't go too far left because I had a great mother. Me and my mom still like this to this day.
Okay.
Great grandmother. I had a great grandmother and my aunt and a lot of people in my city that still held me down there, so that I didn't go too far left. And could come right back on the right track when that time came.
For sure.
Also, you asked a question about am I married? No, I was married before, but I'm divorced now.
Okay.
Yeah, so I'm
Divorced
in a
children.
relationship. Yeah, so I have a son. My son's 19. My son in his second year of college at Kent State University.
Okay.
Yeah,
Gotcha. I like that. I like that, man.
yeah,
So thanks for that little intro too, man.
for sure.
Definitely appreciate that. So speaking of that, um if you had to describe your childhood, Vincent, how would you describe your childhood?
um, so even though I started with all of that information, I still had a great childhood, and
Okay.
so I want to make sure I say that because I released a book about my upbringing, a memoir called Finding Chris, My Father. I started going around speaking at all these different places. I was talking about that portion of the story, and that's my truth. And so I had no problem sharing it. One day, somebody raised a hand and was like, "Man, you had it so hard as a child, bro. I commend you for getting through all this stuff." And I was like, "I ain't having hard as a child."
Yeah, I had a
And
great
so, but
childhood.
I realized I was shaping the narrative. I wasn't shaping it fully. And so, ever since he raised his hand and did that, that was a blessing. I make sure I shape the whole narrative in the right manner. And so, even though I dealt with that and those things were real, I also had a great childhood. Like, um, Christmas was a huge thing in my family. And now looking back, especially me being a social worker, and I think differently now, I have a different lens, different way of thinking. I'm trauma informed, all that stuff. So now I look like maybe my family was overcompensating because my dad wasn't there. But hey, I was a child. I had great Christmases. I had big birthdays. My family was always a strong family
Hmm.
unit. They supported me every step of the way. I think that's why I didn't go too far left. And to fast forward, I even think that's why I work in the field I work in, as far as being a social worker, being a fatherhood advocate, being a community advocate, and just being like socially impactful everywhere I go. I think
Yeah,
it comes from a number of things, but also the love that people gave by putting their arms around me early on.
for
So I
sure.
had that as well as I had confusion, anger built up, abandonment, and I had both. I had that juxtaposition happening as I was being raised and being and
Mm.
coming up in the world.
So speaking of not processing it or not understanding it fully about your childhood, um, like you said, people thinking, "Oh man, you had a bad childhood." You're like, "No, I had a good childhood."
Yeah,
Even with all of that. So my dad died when I was 10 years old, and at the time, I come from a large family. My mom and dad had 8 children together,
okay,
and my mom and dad was married for 28 years
Mm.
at the time of his death. So I'm 10 years old. My dad dies. He's the head of our household. Devastating. You know what I mean?
Yes, sir.
And I used to say, hey, man, my dad died when I was 10. You know, I used to carry that into my adulthood.
Mm-hmm.
Man, I had a rough life, man. You know, and then I got to thinking about it, Vance. You know, on a more positive note, bro, I got to see my dad do more before I was 10 years old than a lot of brothers get to see their dad doing a lifetime.
Yes, sir.
I was right in his hip pocket all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Saturday morning, he was going to do something. Hey, man, you want to ride with me? You know, it
Yep.
was, I seen him do so much. And what brought that out of me was talking to my wife. My wife would ask me sometimes, like, where'd you learn that? Who taught you that? And I'm like, I saw my dad do this,
Mm-hmm.
you know?
Yeah.
So that kind of changed the negative to a positive to
Mm-hmm.
me. You know what I'm saying? What I thought was negative, I'm like, nah, it was all right, man.
Yeah.
You know. So
Excuse me.
it turned out it turned out okay, man. Now my vision or the way I view my childhood is different.
Yeah.
You know, it's a little different than what I thought.
Yeah. Yeah.
So let me ask you this, man. It's like growing up with without your father there, or with the father that you thought was your father in and out of prison.
Mm-hmm.
How did that help shape your decision making as an adult?
So I'll start. It's not going to like 18 or 21 as an adult, but I'll go to parenting first. So I became a father at the age of 25.
Okay.
At the age of 25, as I told you, I met my biological father at 27,
Mm.
which means at 25, I still didn't know him. Became a father at 25. So by 27, when I met my biological father, my son was 2 years old. So I always say, I work with a lot of fathers, and I always say, when you grow up without a father, and whatever the situation is, either going to do one of two things. It's going to have you repeat that cycle, or you're going to be determined and destined to not be there. You're going to be fully engaged. And so, luckily, I went this route. And
Okay.
so, how it shaped me is I had made my mind up early as a young adult and going to adulthood that I was not going to be like the father that I knew for
Okay.
16 years.
Okay.
I told you I was embarrassed by him. Angry at why he wasn't there. I watched my mom struggle, different things. My mom was struggling financially, and all kinds of different things. So I was wondering why he couldn't stay home.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was like, then when I found out about my biological father, first I thought he abandoned us until I found out later that he didn't know about me. So that's another story. Like I said, my
Yeah,
story
yeah.
goes deeper. And so I was carrying this anger. And so going to adulthood, as far as decision making, my first major decision um, was that I'm not gonna be like my the
For
stepfather,
sure.
and I'm gonna be all in. So that's the first thing. So it kind of is shaped by what happened with me growing up. Also, I'm gonna go ahead and share something else with you too. When I was born, the father that I knew as my father gave me his name in my birth certificate too. So my name used to
Wow.
be Vincent Lopez Matt the third. All right,
So you
so
was named after him.
named after him. So that was another reason I was angry when I found out that he's not a biological father because I'm confused.
Yeah.
I'm
And
like,
now what
Mom,
happens to my
I got his
name?
name. And so when I'm at Norfolk State, my last year at Norfolk State, this thing still bothered me. I thought when I turned 18, I was like, all right, I'm in Norfolk State. I'm doing my thing. I'm looking good. I got everything going on. I ain't worried about that guy. I got it. A lot of young men say that same statement to themselves
Yes.
and realize, and still, you're still dealing with that father wound, right?
They're telling themselves that.
Yes, telling
Yeah.
myself that.
Because it
And
sounds good to
it
them.
do. It feel good to sound, and you feel like, all right, I'm not out here in jail or whatever. So I'm functioning. I'm all right,
Yeah.
but functioning. We ain't supposed to be just functioning. You know what I'm
Yes.
saying? So,
Yes.
fast forward, I'm about to graduate Norfolk State. Here's another decision making to answer that question. And I'm sitting there like excited about my graduation that's coming up in my senior year. And I'm like, why am I still carrying this man's name? And he's not my father.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know my new father just yet, my biological father just yet. So I went and filed papers in the city of Norfolk to change my name. I kept my first name Vincent, but I changed my middle and last name. I changed from Vincent Lopez Matt III to Vincent Ellis White. Ellis White is my grandfather who helped shape my upbringing, my mom's dad. Um, and all my cousins, my male cousins, yeah, all my male cousins have the middle name Ellis and last name White. So in my young mind, while I got a lot of uncertainties in my life, what I can connect to is I know these guys in my family are my family. I know they're my blood, and blood was a big thing to me at the time.
Yeah, yeah.
Now my older mind, if me and you go back 20 years, you can be just like blood too. But I wasn't thinking like that then. So that's another big decision I made in my adulthood.
Which sounds like a great decision.
No, I
So
love that decision.
yeah, so
But I'm gonna tell you something before you hold the thought.
yeah,
I want you to
yeah.
hold it. Please hold that thought. While it's a great decision, because I'm so glad I made a decision. Here's my thing though. My reason for doing it, I thought it was gonna like wash my issues I was dealing with, and it did not. It took a lot of faith and growing and maturing and all kind of stuff to wash that. I thought it was gonna wash me dealing with it, and it didn't wash it. So go ahead with your thought.
Gotcha. Now I was just gonna say, man, as a kid, and you were a kid, you know, you're in your early 20s, you're getting ready to graduate, you know, you got you know, a few things going on for yourself, and you're becoming an adult.
Yeah.
Right. A lot of those decisions that we make during that time are just bad decisions.
Bad decisions. Your brain's still developing.
Yeah, your brain is still developing.
Listen to your friends.
All kind of stuff. So once you make that decision, and then you look at yourself at 40, and you say, "Why did I do that?"
Yeah.
But to me, just I'm looking from the outside in. That decision that you made as a young man, like let me go back to my grandfather, who I know is my grandfather, and who was instrumental in my life.
Yeah.
I'm gonna carry his name.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And then you look back at that 40 years later or 20 years later when you're 40, and you say, "Oh, bro, that was a dope decision."
It was.
Yeah. No, that even sound dope when you said it, man. I was like, okay.
And listen, and decision making skills you talked about. So I'm very decisive. A lot of my friends highlight that as a quality of mine. I really can't tell you where that came from. In my mind, it got to be something with my mom because that's really who I grew up with. But I mean, I don't know. But I'm very decisive. Like I make matter of fact decisions. I talk like that. And so I don't know where they came from, but I just know I was raised with heavy morals and values and manners. And you know, you got certain things that you don't like about that other people do. I really don't like when I see people without manners or they don't live by morals and values. I call them out quick, or I leave them alone quick.
Yeah.
Or if you bring your friend over to me and I see something, I'm like, "Yo, Travis, I don't like your man. Like I'm not feeling his." I'll just tell you right there. So that's the thing that's ingrained in me. So having that foundation, however that foundation came to me, that is what shapes my decision making skills. And I'd be remiss if I don't mention my upbringing in church because I it's so many things that shaped me. But also they had me in church every Sunday.
That's major, bro.
That's my grandma, that's my mom, that's my grandfather, my aunt, and I mean every Sunday. Let's be clear, y'all. So I was a menace at certain points. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. But Sunday
you
I had
to get it together.
Yeah, and I'm all the way in. That's Southside Zion Baptist Church. Birth all the way up through going to college and coming back home into a young adulthood. And so I have to mention that like my faith is also what shaped my who I am in decision making skills, but also the people I had around me.
For sure.
And you and I have a mutual person that we know, and she'll tell you. I don't know if she want her name mentioned. That's why I'm saying that. But
no doubt.
But she'll tell you.
Well, I talk about her all the time on the podcast.
Well, my girl Tim, that we have a mutual friendship with, she'll tell you like she's met my family. Everybody's solid, and so I'm sure they shape my decision making skills. And even like when she come around them now in my city, she said, "Yo, I just love how your family like move, how they all. I love your mom, like." And so I never talk bad about black women. Like I grew up with three strong women that kept me solid. And I ain't saying it because it's like clickbait. Like that's really my life. Anybody know me growing up, it's really my life. Like I said, save me because I was on the edge. I was on the edge for a minute, and that's another story. Like I mean, listen, on the edge for a minute, for a nice portion of my life too. But they kept me connected to the church. Even if it was like toggling. I was still there. And my mom told me something last week when I visited her. She was like, "You always made good decisions, like with your girlfriends you had, even stuff like that. Like, I don't have no crazy stories about like somebody that I locked down. You talk about how I was moving, like trying to be a player and all that. That's different. I was wilding out then. But like as far as who I lock in with, she told me that speaks volumes to who I am because that's decision making too.
For sure,
decision making. So I pause there.
Yeah, and like a good judgment of character. That's another thing, man.
That's a fact. I pride myself
that's part
on
of decision making too. I wanted to pick up a couple things that you just said,
Go
man.
ahead.
And thinking about your mom, you said your mom and them helped shape your decision making. And I told you my dad died when I was 10, right?
Yeah.
So a friend of mine, right? I feel like he felt like his mom made a lot of bad decisions, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it makes him he doesn't value a woman's opinion
Mm-hmm.
now as an adult,
Mm-hmm.
right? And he feels like the women in his life when he was a kid in his upbringing made a lot of bad decisions,
Mm-hmm.
right? And they're still making bad decisions, right?
Mm-hmm.
So he's like, so in his mind, he's like, and I understand exactly where he's coming from. He's like, a man is in charge of the household, and the man needs to make the decision because what he's seen was women making a bunch of bad decisions,
Mm-hmm.
right? Well, my story is a little different, bro, because my dad died when I was 10 years old, and my mom picked up, man, we didn't miss a beat in that household, bro. And she had 8 children looking at her like, hey, what we
What
gonna
are we
do?
gonna do? What are we gonna do?
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you know what she did? She said, we're gonna do the same thing we was doing when your dad was here. You know what I
That
mean?
show her strength right there.
Yes, show her strength, and her decision making was impeccable.
Come on.
I seen my mom so many times make decisions that people in the outside world was like, ain't nowhere in the world this happens. Y'all must be rich or y'all must be this or no, it's my mom decision making
Yeah.
that made us look like we was moving like a well-oiled machine.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I
Yeah, I
mean?
love that. Yeah.
So man, I shout out to women that make good decisions,
For
man.
sure.
Shout out because people are watching you, good or bad. People are watching your decision making. So I always say that, man, and it makes me value my daughter and my wife decision making. Sometimes I ask my daughter, "Hey, what you think about this?" You know, she say, "Well, I think this, Dad." I said, "All right, cool, got it." You know what I'm saying? And I value that.
Yeah.
When I got things on my plate, I run it past my wife. I say, "Hey, what you think about this? What
Listen.
you know what I'm saying? What's your opinion of this?" You know?
So, pardon me for interrupting.
No, you fine, man.
So I mentioned my girl earlier, right? So, and I mentioned decision making in regards to who you align with, who you lock in with as a
Yeah,
partner. Um, I pride myself on being decisive, making good judgment, good decisions. I don't do it all right all the
yeah,
time,
yeah.
but I feel confident saying, and I believe if she was here and I was not even looking at her, I think she would say that it's well over 50% that I make a decent decision in regard to something. Um, so people rely upon me to bring questions to me, ask my advice, and I only do that, throw that back to certain people. I want to speak to trust. Like I am big. I have to like trust you, and I have to value something about you to even inquire to you about advice.
Man,
So me and my girl
man.
really go back and forth. She called me like to help her make a lot of decisions in life that some people out here that know her would never even know that I helped make that decision, and vice versa. When I go do things out here, we talk off camera about me being a public figure. Like a lot of stuff I do is in front of. I've been a public figure for 15 plus years, and so people think that's so great, but also you can't make a lot of mistakes
That's
because
right.
it's like it's blown up. And so
Everybody's
I
watching.
got to run stuff by people that I trust behind the scenes ahead of time. And she'll say I only run it by somebody that I trust, and I don't care if like they got all these things or they doing well in life. If I don't get this feeling of trust with you, or I don't rock with you or what you're doing or your impact, it don't matter to me. I don't care about your advice.
Yeah,
I don't ask about it.
for
So
sure.
when I run it by a Tam or my best friend or my people or whatever partners, business partners, it's already because I trust them.
Hmm.
I'm bringing up trust for a reason and decision making for a reason because I want to speak to like a weakness that I learned that came from my father wound that I talked about. When y'all leave here, look up father wound. By the way, um, and I can't speak to nothing about in regards to you losing your dad at 10, but I will say part of father wound is not just like somebody being absent but still alive, but also when they're not here too.
Yeah,
That's a father wound too. Just that absence
for
that you
sure.
have, and so
Because that's a void,
it's a
man.
void,
It's a
right?
void.
There's even a father wound when the dad's in the house.
Hmm.
Let's speak about that's another one. So
Yeah, that's a big one,
but I
man.
want to bring it up because my situation was different. I found out that my father, I thought was my father, was not my father. And then I felt like the butt of this big joke that my family knew about that I didn't know about. So that damaged my
Mm.
trust early on. And Tim and other people would say, they'd be like, yo, you don't be trusting people. And that's one thing I can definitely point out as I look at it as a weakness and a strength, but I recognize the weakness in it. So I'm speaking to the weakness now.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard for me to like trust people. It could
For
be guy,
sure.
girl, or whatever. I can say guy because of the stepfather and even my biological father. I can say girl because I trusted my mom with my heart. So my mom was like the best ever. But the only one decision or time I can remember her lying, and it's only one time, which I think is great. We think about me being here 45 years. I can think about one time. But that one was so major where she didn't tell me that my father was not my father. And that was became a trust issue for me. That again, that's my mom. So we got past that. But I just want to point out that as you look back on your life in hindsight, I just have trust issues,
Man.
and I'm just only mentioning it early on. Let's not go through like times where betrayal set in or somebody cheat or whatever. But when those things happen later on, it just adds on to what I had early on when my
For
brain
sure.
was still functioning. And so a weakness of mine became trust issues because of those things. Now the strength is that, and the blessing in it, even I still want to work on that. The blessing in it is that I have discernment and I make good decisions. And so there's been a lot of times where I'd say I didn't trust somebody and it'd be on point.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
so, and again, others would tell you too. And
yeah.
so I'm still okay with that feeling because I remember the times it was on point. But I also don't like that I have that because if I meet somebody and somebody else might just automatically offer them trust, I'm looking at them like this, and I don't, and
Yeah,
it don't
yeah.
show me no reason to continue
That's
this
right.
feeling. So
Yeah.
just want to make that known too.
For sure, man.
A weakness that I saw in mine that came from the father situation.
Okay, okay, okay. I like that, man. I like that. So, Vince, what similarities do you see um, in the way that you were raised and the way that you raise your children?
Well, I didn't have anything to compare it to in regards to having a male in my life.
Hmm.
So it would
But
be,
morals, principles, those kind of things.
yeah, yeah. So it would be,
And I was speaking more of tradition.
oh
I
yeah,
think that's where I wanted to go with that was tradition, like the traditional things that the way you was raised.
yeah,
Did you carry on those traditions, or was
yes,
there any similarities in the
no,
traditions when
yeah,
you raised your son?
yes, because those traditions were ingrained in me. And I mean, even mentioning the morals and values that I stand by in the manner. So, and also when I had my son, I was already starting to like get involved with like elders, and as the Bible says, having wise counsel. I stayed with an elder.
Wise
I
counsel.
stayed
That's
with
a
an
good
elder
one.
in my life, and so I got my upbringing with my mom. That was great upbringing. Then I got elders, and so my son was raised with manners. Um, Early on was having dinner at the table together, like being respectful to authority figures, like things like
Mm-hmm.
that. I instilled that in him early, and it was an
Mm-hmm.
easy instilling because it's nothing I even had to be intentional about. It's just there. So I modeled it, but also I had to be intentional for the sake of verbalizing it. But I
Yes.
also modeled it too, and also by that time I was kind of coming into my own in regards to like being a figure in the community early on. And so when my son was like 1, 2, and 3, and 4, like, I was bringing him. I released my first book. So the book I mentioned was about finding my dad, but it's a book I released before that. So I started traveling back and forth to 757 and all these places. My son was 2. I was bringing him with me. He was on stage with me, and he was seeing me vend and sell my books, and then answer questions, talk about my life. So I want you to think about that for a minute. I'm modeling things for him, and I just like people be saying your son should be comfortable with the stage because he's been around you. Cool, yes to that,
Mm-hmm.
but let's dig deeper. So my son see me being a role model for other men. I'm talking to men, and I'm talking raw when I talk to men.
Yeah.
So I'm like, tell me about whatever. And they're like, yeah, my father I ain't ish right. I'm like,
Yeah.
well, let's break that down. Why? So then, like, I'm really dialogue with them, and I pull things out of people, right?
Mm-hmm.
My son see me talking to these men, and I'm holding them accountable. I'm not gonna let you just come in here and say, here's why I don't want to be with my child.
Yeah.
No matter what, fight for him, no matter what. So
Yeah.
like, my son is watching me model things, not just on stage, but like I'm talking to men. I'm speaking accountability into men. I'm
Mm-hmm.
speaking positivity into men. I'm uplifting women. I'm doing all these things, and my son right there. You talk about your son being on your hip, like my son right here
Mm-hmm.
on my hip, and so I think that was modeled for me in a different way from my mom. You know, I didn't have my father there. I was around my mom, my grandma, and my grandfather a lot. My grandfather, though, he didn't do much. He moved with authority without even doing much. And everybody respected
Yeah.
my grandfather,
Yeah. Yeah.
and so I learned like your word is your bond. You know, I try to even I was telling you today. I'm not feeling that great, y'all. But I was like, I'm still coming because I got to honor my
For
commitment.
sure.
I
I
teach
said
my
I'll be
son.
there. I'll be
Yep.
there.
I teach
Yeah.
my son honor your commitment. So a lot of things that I was taught growing up, I did pass those on. Some things inadvertently, and some things intentional about, and some things if I didn't say it or verbalize because I didn't know to do that, I just lived. I
Yeah.
model it, and so and he watching me. He right there with me. Um, Another part of fatherhood story that you don't know, I went through a 16-year custody battle with my son's mom.
Wow.
16 years. So from '07 to this year, 2025. Um, and so another thing he saw me model outside of moving around and vending and doing speaking engagements was he saw me fight for him.
Mm.
And a lot of times he didn't like it because he had his mom in his ear and we was having that whole back and forth. But outside of that, the young man saw me fight for him with my money, with my time, with my presence. Um, no matter how many times I got kicked, I got kicked or beat down, whatever. He saw me fight. I'm back in court. The whole city saw me actually. So the whole city of Richmond saw me. A lot of it was public. And so anyway, like I fought down to my last dollar. I fought down to bringing the community with me, and I ended up getting full custody of him in middle school. And so that dynamic changed. So then it went from like 1 week on, 1 week off of him seeing me and witnessing things I do and getting my teaching to now 24/7 because I got full custody of him in middle school. So now he getting my teaching 24/7. He's seeing my wrongs and my rights, but he's watching me model things, and so
Yeah.
I'm bringing those same traditions and also new traditions too. And he watching all those things.
I like that, man. I
Yeah.
like that. Just just to add on to the custody thing, man. I went through custody battle for my son too, and I got custody of my son when he was 5 years old,
Okay.
and I raised him till he was 18. So I totally understand, bro.
Yeah.
And it was a knockout, drag out. You know, it was a lot, man. But and now he's 27 years old, right?
Mm.
And now when me and him sit and have conversations, we have real conversations, right? And the thing that I love about it even more, because he has an 8-year-old son now, right?
Yeah.
So his son was born. Me and him was about the same age when he was,
What's about 19?
yeah, 20,
Yeah, 20.
when he was born and when his son was born.
Yeah.
So me and him was about right there, and now he understands the challenges, you know. And he say, you know, sometimes he come and talk to me. He say, "Hey, man, Dad, I had no idea you went through all of this, man." I say, "Yes, sir." You know, and I
Yeah.
stood on all 10. You know what I mean? Because I was more concerned about your well-being than anything else. You know.
Yo, I love that you said well-being because that was my main concern, and also I was making my way in the mental health field. Excuse me, and child support field and social work field. So now I'm getting the proper teaching about child welfare and well-being, human services. So I'm able to apply that, which made me a whole, just a much more enlightened
Yeah,
father, a
yeah,
better father, as well as I'm in the fatherhood programs. I'm doing all that,
for
and so
sure.
I was keeping his well-being in mind. But I'm gonna give you another transparency truth here, and I love that you share that with me because you don't even know how that is effective to my story. So I've never been apart from my son from birth to going off to college.
Hmm.
I never been apart. Like there's no gap. Never been apart. Fought for him. I mean, and like I said, my story went for the books, bro. The
Okay.
whole city of Richmond would tell you one for the books. Like I'm talking about court for 8 hours in a day,
Hmm.
9 to 5. Come back. The judge said we can't make a decision. Come back in 2 days. We come back 9 to 5 again.
Hmm.
I'm talking about welfare checks pulling up on me because mom just made a decision.
For sure.
I'm talking about false claims. You name it. All
I've
right.
been there too. I've
So
been there too, bro.
yeah.
I've been there too. Child Protective Services,
All
everything.
that, all that. I'm trying to tell you. So, and that even speaks to father wound too. So
Yeah.
I want you just we talking about men's mental health, right?
Yeah.
So I want you to think. I went through father wound and fatherlessness issues as a child,
Hmm.
and now I'm going through them as a father. So I got it from the child and the adult. That's a double whammy, y'all, of
Yeah.
father wounds.
Both ways.
And so when I think about faith and right and the grace of God, I'm like, yo, I'm out here really flourishing and not just flourishing, but like helping fathers and like positively impacting my community, getting awards and all that stuff for doing 15, 20 years of
Hmm.
impact. And I got two major father wounds. Like, how do you sustain that? They ain't nothing
How
but
does that
God.
happen?
But with that
Yeah.
said, I don't lose my thought, right? So my son right now is not speaking to not just me, but my whole side of the family. Because part of what I dealt with was parental alienation. And so y'all look up parental alienation. And so in a nutshell, that's where
I
one of
was
the
just saying, explain that to us,
yeah,
man.
so parental alienation is where like if a mother and a father are co-parenting and one of the parents is like being intentional about trying to alienate the child from the other parent or talking adverse about them in their ear or in earshot. That's parental alienation. Again, I work with fathers, and so we help fathers deal with these things. And so you went through custody battle.
Mm-hmm.
When your son was with the mom could have said like, Travis, he ain't nothing. He over there. He not treating you right. He do this and that. That's parental alienation. Then in his young mind, he's like, even though he might see you doing different, that's
Yeah.
still mom
But
talking.
she's planting that seed.
Yep. And so that's
Yeah.
parental alienation. So I went through that heavy.
Okay.
And so with that said, I'm doing all that I can. But once he turned 18, he skated off right to mom.
Mm-hmm.
And she was verbalizing to me she had a plan for that to happen the whole time. And I'm thinking like it ain't gonna happen because he see me like really doing homework,
Yeah,
saying nightly
yeah, yeah,
prayers,
yeah, yeah,
cooking
for
dinner,
sure, for
and it
sure.
don't even matter. And also me working in child welfare, I can tell you that I know it don't matter because I worked in foster care as a social worker for about 7, 8 years, and I'll have children that we remove out of their biological families' homes,
Mm-hmm.
put them in foster care because their mom or dad did something crazy like
Yeah, yeah,
touch them, molest them, had meth labs, all
yeah,
that stuff.
yeah.
Any chance they get to slip out, where do you think
They're
they
going
go?
right back to
There
them.
you go. So these children go back to the parent that really is harming them,
Mm-hmm.
and to a mind that don't work in this field. You can't believe it.
Yeah,
And so I say all that to say, she caught him. I mean, I had a hell of a fight, but at 18 she caught him, and so that was hurtful for a long time, and it's still hurtful. But one thing I don't have is regrets because I planted a hell of a seed in him from birth to
for
18.
sure,
And then
man.
also my elders that work with me told me that he might do something like this because they've been working with children for so long in these
Mm-hmm.
positions,
Mm-hmm.
that
Mm-hmm.
tug of war,
Yeah,
that some of them go astray. But I'm getting back. I love to get back to a point to not get off on a
yeah,
tangent,
yeah,
right? So when you said your son at 27 came back to you, start having conversations. A lot of my elders in this field, in this work, told me that Vince is gonna be all right because he gonna come back
for
and
sure.
come with an apology. And he gonna say
Oh my
whether he a
God.
dad or not, he'll come back and it might be maturity make him do it. But if he end up being a father around
Mm-hmm.
that age, he
Mm-hmm.
gonna come back and say, Dad, now I know what's up, what you've been going through.
For
And so
sure.
it's hurtful because, like I said, raise them. I know fathers that have been having hella gaps in their life, and so they start feeling guilty when their son do this. But I ain't have no gaps.
Yeah,
So I know I really know
for
what
sure.
happened. So I just say all that to say like I appreciate you sharing that part of the story, and I've had plenty of others share that with me because like what we talked about earlier, you may not see it right now,
Mm-hmm.
but I know that it's coming,
It's
especially with the
coming,
seeds that I planted.
and it's definitely coming,
Yeah,
man.
yeah,
It definitely is, man. Like I said, and me and my son, we had a great relationship with him growing up. Um, and we have a great relationship now.
yeah,
But I know that a lot of seeds was planted in his head, and he's also told me now because he's an adult,
yeah.
and me and him do life together
Yes,
now.
sir.
When it comes to his son and things that he's going through with his son's mom and stuff like that, he say, "Hey, Dad, come on, man, talk to me."
Yeah,
What how do we navigate this?
yeah.
And we talk about it, and he said so many things were said to him growing up, and he respects me because I didn't do the same. I
Yes, sir.
didn't plant any bad seeds in his head about other people.
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
So, nah, man. So that's dope, man. That unique story, man. You know, small world. You never know what people going through. You know what I'm saying? People that you
hmm
meet, you never know what they're going through. You know what I'm
hmm
saying?
So
Who?
people ask me a lot, like, why'd you get in this field? Like everything that I do, a pillar of mine is it has to be impactful. Like, and I realize it's bigger than me. I've tried to get away from mentorship,
Uh huh.
working with fathers. I tried multiple times. I always go back to it,
Find
and
yourself
so
right back in it
yeah.
in
So I
some
realized
form or fashion.
it don't matter. Like even when I went to contract work, working with the CDC as a contractor, contract specialist. And I was like, I'm be working in my pajamas. I'm be at home.
Yeah.
Forget all this because I get weary like carrying the trauma of these clients all the time. Next thing you know, I start mentoring. I start working with fathers. I start fatherhood initiatives around the city. And I think this trauma and this stuff I went through, like I said, either can make you fold or make
Mm-hmm.
you dive all the way in. And
Yeah.
so fortunate for people like us, I dove all the way in. And so
And it prepared your heart and your mind
yes, sir.
for what you got going on today.
Yeah, and it's authentic. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
Like,
for sure.
I don't.
Because you got a direct connection to
Yeah,
it. Like this
and
ain't,
so
yeah, I ain't making up this scenario, bro. I
no, it's
got
a
a
direct
direct,
and that
yeah.
direct connection is so intense because when I work with these men that are a lot of them are mandated by a judge to take this fatherhood course,
Mm-hmm.
so they don't want to be there.
That's right.
So my colleagues sometimes they don't. I mean, they have their own way of reaching them, but when it's my turn to speak, I can already read them. That's discernment. But then also I know what I went through, and I know how angry I was